Hi, and welcome to Stimming and Stilettos. Our guest today is Sudeshna Sen. I'm really excited to have you on the show today. How are you?
Thank you, Natasha. I'm great. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. I want my guests to know where you are. Where are you right now?
I am in London and home in a lockdown. So, yeah.
Aren't we all? So, what we do generally, how we start the show, every show, is by asking all of our guests to tell us your STEM story.
Yeah. So my STEM story actually starts when I was about 11, 12 years old. I hated math. And my brother, well, my cousin brother, he told me, look, you don't get to hate math because you have to love it. There's no choice. If you want a job, if you want to become big in life, you need to love math, and that's about it. And so I decided, well, I don't have a choice about it, so I'm going to fall in love with math. So I did. So I did. And then what happened is I did my school, my high school. I studied math and biology and did my physics and chemistry. And then I sort of decided that for uni, I'd rather go to do a degree in economics, which was more mathsy than engineering. Um, and that is why I have two science degrees in economics rather than um, a liberal arts degree. And what I did with economics is pretty much went down that quantitative route, and I was graduating just around the time the financial crisis broke, and I knew that I wanted to be in banking because that's the most quantitative thing that I knew. And that's how I ended up in consulting, but kind of found my way back into banking within 6 months because I was like, if I don't do banking, that's it. I have to do banking. There's no choice about it. I have to do my math. And that's how I continued working in STEM. So currently, I head up a data science team. Um, and it's been about 10 years or so. I have been in data science much before it started becoming popular. So
Mm.
there's my story.
Wow. So this is interesting. I am currently taking some data science classes. I'm taking my first Python class right now.
Wow.
It is not the yeah, right. Um, so it's but so what I'm enjoying is the process of it, and understanding how you break big data down into these little buckets that can be handled when you make your model and you do your analysis in that way. So um, I'm enjoying it that way. Has it how has it evolved since you've been involved with it?
So since I was in uni, I think when I was in uni about 10 years or so back, I was learning more of R, and because it's economics, I was doing a lot of abstract math, but also was doing a lot of statistics and time series modeling,
Mm,
all of which ultimately form the basis of machine learning. We used to call it more statistics than machine learning or data science back then. And I used to do a lot more of R. I think over the last 10 years, what has happened is because of the explosion of big data, because of the new cloud platforms being available at your fingertips, literally you can spin up a AWS server or Google Cloud Platform. I think they are giving you their resources that you can run your model on for free. So all of that has suddenly changed data science from being something that belonged only to the elite researchers in universities to what is accessible for even a student.
right.
So and of course the open source in Python especially, I think, has made it massively accessible to even people who do not have a grounding in statistics. So I think the ease of making data work for you has changed phenomenally in the last 10 years.
So how are you using data science in your everyday jobs?
Yeah. So what I do is I say I advise businesses on how to improve their revenue, decrease their cost, make their products better, all with using data and analysis. Now, sometimes that data and analysis can be as simple as drawing up some bar charts.
Mhm.
Most times, what I do end up doing though is I'll run a couple of machine learning models.
Mhm.
And then on top of that, I would use my business degree, which is thankfully in economics. So I understand the business bit of it.
Yes.
Happy coincidence there. So that helps me almost translate all of that data and statistics into actually actionable insights that businesses can then go and implement and actually make more money, serve their customers better, improve supply chain logistics, the sort of um, kind of breakdown that we saw in supply chains globally. That is one of the things that you can optimize quite easily with data. Not something that I'm personally an expert in, i.e. in supply chain management. But yeah, that is something that many of my colleagues actually do a lot. I tend to help banks actually more than other industries because that's again the sort of industry I
Right.
have always been aligned to.
Right. Right. So how has being first how has being a woman in this field impacted your life and
Oh,
being a minority woman?
oh yeah. So I work in banking, in tech, in consulting. So all of those fields are extremely, extremely male dominated. So most of the times I'd find myself in a room, me being the only female. There were times actually when I moved to the UK. This was about 5 to 6 years back when I moved from India to UK. You know, you already have this cultural um, I guess, lack of confidence because you are moving continents suddenly and kind of being thrown into um, the top performing financial city in the world.
Right.
So I was already a bit nervous. And there were times when I was probably made to doubt myself more than I needed to. Um, and this was not because of the companies that I worked for. You know, the companies that I worked for, in fact, Deloitte, PwC, they are great at championing minorities, championing um, women in tech. However, it ultimately boils down to people you work with. So
Mm-hmm.
I often say that the best teams that I have worked with have been all men. The worst teams I have worked with also have been all men. So men are
Right.
not the problem. It's just who they are as people.
Mm-hmm. Wow. Wow. So if you could, what's been the greatest lesson you've learned as a minority woman in STEM?
Have confidence in your abilities and never doubt yourself. It might seem like we don't know much. It might seem like we are not competent enough, but I promise you that if you have gotten to as far as you have gotten, it is because you know certain things. And I mean, confidence, I think, is a product of quite a number of things, competence being one, and we almost automatically go to competence. But there are other things, like, for example, if you look at the biochemistry of the body, testosterone as a hormone is something that provides men with the amount of confidence that they have. And as women, we have less of testosterone, so at times we are just how we are, probably slightly shy, slightly introverted, slightly lacking in confidence, just because of hormonal differences. And you know that has no bearing on competence. So when people start drawing out conclusions based on how confident you are and translates that into how competent you are, that's not right. And I think we tend to do a lot of that. And my advice, I think, to any young woman getting into the field would be, yeah, there's imposter syndrome. Be careful and understand it right. Competence can be overcome, but overcoming the lack of confidence is much harder than it seems.
Wow. Wow. So have there been times when you have felt the imposter syndrome uh sort of exists? It's sort of it's in there, like you're in a room and you're like, wow, how did I get here? And then what did you do to overcome that?
Well, you know what? Funny thing is, I talk so much about imposter syndrome and how it's affected my life, but I'm guilty of facing that from time to time, even today. It's not like we are above this. I'm not some goddess above this planet and speaking about this. In fact, yesterday I was talking to a bunch of very senior data science asset managers, and one of the biggest companies that you probably would have heard of.
Mhm.
And I was wondering, well, these two men are actually listening to me and commending me on what I did. Ho- am I really worth it? Well, I'm not sure. So I texted an ex-colleague of mine who, according to me, he's one of the best data scientists and one of the best quantitative brains I know. And I messaged him saying, Alistair, are you sure I'm good enough for this? And he was like, look, you are. And you are one of the best data science consultants I know. And that's a rare breed. And I was like, don't tell me anything just to please me. So my automatic response was, oh, you must be lying. I'm
Right,
not
to
good
knock it
enough.
down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And well, he persisted, and I was like, okay, you know what? I have seen this before, and now I'm more matured than I was 5 years ago. So
Mhm.
I kind of understand that this is probably my brain talking rather than me. Um, but overcoming imposter syndrome has been twofold in my case. One is tackling the competence bit, where yeah, I do a lot of self-studying. I do the Python, I do the R. I make sure that people can't challenge me on my knowledge. So
Mhm.
that is a given. After you get to a point, that becomes a given. The second part, though, has been tougher, I think, with lots of mental work. So that's how I got into understanding. I think we spoke about this slightly earlier, about how our body works, how the biochemistry of the body works. So that's given me quite a lot of confidence in understanding that, okay, you know what, it's in the mind, but also actually in the body. So it's helped me to kind of distance myself from the fear a bit and look
Mhm.
at it more objectively. And then the third thing I think has been I meditate quite a lot. So the 5 years ago, whenever I went through that project, when um, it did not go very well because of whatever reasons, minority, female, all of that put together in banking and tech. So that did not go down very well, but that kind of put me on a journey of self-reflection and breakdown, but also self-reflection and realization in some ways.
Mhm.
And I discovered meditation and spirituality then, and I have since then been constantly trying to balance the spiritual side and the scientific side of me. And it's been interesting and very rewarding as well. So
Okay, so we're going to come back to that because I'm interested. But I did want to ask you this question about how you guys are managing right now in the midst of our COVID-19 pandemic. So you're still working and you're still doing what you're doing, but so how are you? How are you? And then how is your business?
right. So two things. One is I actually have my corporate day job, but because I'm on maternity leave from that, I actually am not working on the job right now.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
Um, on my business that I started while I was on maternity leave because I have a busy head, uh, is doing well. I think I am really surprised by how well people have taken it. And I suppose people have taken to it well because I don't come from a place of, okay, I know everything. I come from a place of, look, I'm on this journey with you.
Mm-hmm.
I also don't come from a place of, hey, I'm the HR person and the coach that you always needed. I actually walk the talk and I'm actually doing the work myself. So
Mm-hmm.
I think that's been perhaps slightly refreshing for people to understand, well, coaching is not always about, um, you know, and I have the highest regards for the HR professionals. They are really good at what they do, but not always are they in your shoes when you probably have meetings to run, to some code to write, and also be managing your team. So it's a very different sort of environment.
Yeah, yeah, that's true. So to tell us what your business is, and give us a name and where we can find you. Even though I know we will actually put it in our episode recap, but tell us now.
Yeah. So I run the Abundance Psyche. So it's a blog mostly, and I think most of the times, 100% of my material is free. Um, what I do with the Abundance Psyche is it's aimed at career professionals. I help them navigate their career challenges, whether that be in terms of resume repositioning, career change, or it be, well, I actually am lacking in that confidence, or I think I'm not productive enough. So I would go down and either in form of coaching or courses get down to why is it and how can I solve your problem together with you, not like generally people who have taken my courses, they get WhatsApp messages from me personally rather than and that's not very common if you are doing courses, especially on Udemy or something. So that's slightly different, and that's how I kind of want to run my business, because your business needs to reflect your ethos at some point. So
Well, that's right. And so, where can they find you? Just give us your Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, if you're on
yes,
Twitter, all those things.
yes, I'm not on Twitter, but my website is theabundancepsyche.com, and on Instagram I'm at the rate abundance psyche, Facebook at the rate abundance psyche. There's a free gift that I actually put together for listeners of your podcast, because I know that everyone here is a STEM person, so they are probably as geeky as me in terms of understanding the neuroscience and then actually using the neuroscience and chemistry to improve their confidence. And like I think we spoke about earlier, that if I could give myself a gift 10 years back, it would be this. And that's exactly what I've packed it into this downloadable. It's on theabundancepsyche.com. slash stemming hyphen in hyphen stilettos.
Gotcha. Love it. I love it. So our last question, and I think you've sort of answered it, but just want you to make sure is if you could revisit your younger self, what advice would you give her and why?
I would ask her to be more confident. That's it. I would say have confidence in your abilities. You have got here not by fluke. A fluke does not happen multiple times in your life. And if you have gotten here this far, understand that you are competent, but there are other things that you do need to work on, like confidence, like making people like you, like being productive not every day of your life, that would be harsh, but as much as possible in life. So you need to work on the other things as well as being competent. So spend some more time understanding the softer side of things. Integrate that with science. That's great, but make sure that you are doing the other bits as well.
I love that. So 'cause I think confidence is a really good equalizer in a lot of spaces because like you it spoke earlier about how men just sort of have that even when they are less qualified and women do not. So there was that study that yeah, I know that people keep bringing it up, but like a man can be have three of the qualifications for a job, and he's going to apply for it anyway, whereas a woman won't even attempt.
Yeah.
And so we kind of sort of need to, or at least I believe we need to adopt that mentality. Like I know I can do this job, even when on paper it says maybe not.
Mm,
um, because sometimes it's about getting in the room,
yeah.
and if we don't apply, that already means that we're not in the room.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely true. And if I'm honest, I have written several job postings. I've been on the side of the hiring manager, worked with Deloitte and PwC, and I can tell you that not a single time when we did actually write down a job spec were we expecting everyone to be checking every point. But that automatically sometimes meant that we were getting in. The more technical the role, the more I think, like you said, if men have 3 out of 10, they'll apply. If women have 9 out of 10, they'll wonder, should I apply?
Mm-hmm.
And that's not and that doesn't help us in solving this problem of imbalance of women in tech.
And it doesn't. But I think hearing your story and the work that you're doing and the other work that you're doing in terms of helping them on the sort of personal professional side gain that confidence or sort of have a pathway so that they can um, pull together a plan towards getting the needed skills or gaining that confidence or moving moving or navigating the space. I think is really helpful, and it's what we need to be doing. So thank you for doing that work for us.
Yeah, I love it. So yeah, that's why I do it.
All right. Well, thank you again for agreeing to be on the show today. I really enjoyed our conversation, and I hope you did too.
Yes, I did very much indeed. Thank you so much, Natasha, and I will speak to you soon.
Yes, you will. And to my audience, I will be speaking to you soon as well. All right.